Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you all had a great holiday. And for today, I'm just going to be doing a Q&A to start off the year. So if you do have any additional questions, please let me know down in the comments and I will be sure to answer those in the next Q&A. To start off, for those of you who don't know me and this is your first time watching a video, I am a second-year vet student at St. George's University in Grenada. So it's a little bit different than some of the stateside schools, so if you do have any specific questions about my current school, please let me know. So I typically like to wear the Cherokee scrubs or the Healing Hand scrubs. Typically, for the first 2 years at SGU, we don't handle the animals too often. However, you do have a clinical orientation course and 2 vet physical diagnosis courses that will start teaching you a little bit more handling skills with the animals, specifically dogs, cows, and horses. But during our 3rd year, we do get to do some rotations at the local hospital, so we will be doing more surgery training in our 3rd year, but then we do the majority of our hands-on things during our clinical year at our specific clinical school. For the terms, it kind of depends on whether you start your lectures in the morning or lectures in the evening, but typically you will start your day around 8:30 in the morning and you won't end your day until 5:30 p.m. with like an hour break for lunch. So you will be given different lab groups, so you might not be in school the full day, or you might be. It just depends, but for the labs itself, usually it's no more than 2 hours for each lab, and then for the lectures, you typically have 4 hours of lecture a day. So during a typical weekday, I will study about 6 hours a day. And on the weekend, I usually do around like 10 to 12 hour study days. So sometimes this can be a tricky question, especially if you are just coming out of your midterm exams or your final exams because you don't feel like you know anything. I would say that they are preparing us pretty well to be veterinarians, at least around the world. Even though mostly a lot of us will practice in the United States, they do prepare us for instances where someone will go to Europe to work. So it really just depends. We are given a lot of different knowledge on the Grenada veterinary medicine, the European way of medicine, and the United States medicine. So I feel like we are bombarded with a bunch of different things that could be used in different parts of the world, which as veterinarians, it is important to know that. But if you want a more detailed structure for the US, I would probably recommend that maybe this is not the right school for you. So we don't trek in Grenada as vet students because we do not do our clinical year here on the island. We are actually either sent back to the US, Canada, Europe, or Australia to do our clinicals. We don't have the option to track here, but if you do go to a clinical school that does, they usually will allow SGU students to track as well. So honestly, it was a big culture shock. Nothing is really like the United States. So if you are expecting this school to be like the US, it is not. It's completely different. You are in a whole nother country. You get exposed to all different types of backgrounds. Honestly, in my opinion, it makes you better as a veterinarian because you are exposed to so many different things. And we do have to work really, really hard while we're in vet school. But at the same time of trying to figure out the location you're in without having any family around, usually, it's very difficult. If you are adaptable to change, this is a great school to come to because who else can say, besides Ross University students, that I get to study by the beach anytime that I want to? Like, it's unheard of, really. So honestly, there are a lot of differences. I could make an entirely different video just going through all of the different things, but I'll just hit the main points now. If you do want me to make that sort of video later on, just let me know down in the comments and I'll definitely put it on the list of things to do. But the major differences, there is no longer that sense of competition anymore. All of your classmates are going to be your colleagues now, for the most part, unless circumstances happen and they no longer want to be veterinarians and they drop out of the program. But another major difference would be that my study methods have completely changed. During undergrad, I could literally just go through the lecture material and be just fine on the examinations, but here I cannot do that. I have to go through all of the material like so many times. I have to whiteboard everything. And you use so many different study methods for each class. So you definitely want to know multiple different types of studying, because you never know which class you're going to need that study method for. SGU does. They are taught by upper termers. They are called PLGs here, which is short for peer learning groups. Typically, it's kind of like a 10 to 20 student group to go over like Kahoots, worksheets. I find that the PLGs are super helpful, but I will let you know now that as you move forward to your second year of vet school and your third year of vet school on the island, there is really no longer tutoring services available for every class. It's just, you do have to start learning how to study effectively on your own. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So honestly, there's quite a lot of resources that they have for us on campus, such as clubs and the health services, the gym, the university club. The mental health services is also pretty common. Then we do have learning strategists as well to help students with figuring out better study methods, and also the tutoring groups, as I mentioned previously in this video. You're pretty isolated from the rest of the world. There are certain things that you will not be able to get on the island, such as like some American brands. Don't expect fast food to be here. It's a completely different country, so try to embrace the culture as much as you can. I personally like living here. It's definitely not for everyone, so when you do your research, just make sure it's the right fit for you. I love the fact that whenever I get out of class, I can see the mountains and I can see the ocean. I can study at the beach, and honestly, you can't do that just anywhere. So I think for me, that's really nice to see. And experiencing veterinary medicine in a whole nother country, it's completely different to what we do in the US, but I think having that exposure is going to really help me later on in the future. Grenada itself is pretty poor, but the people here are so nice and friendly. It's nice to have like a community that supports you throughout this entire journey. I will be honest, sometimes there's days where I do not like the school or the program, but honestly, that can be said for every vet school. There's always things to improve upon, but overall, I do feel like I made the right choice to come to SGU because they do push us to our limits every day. They do put us in charge of our learning a lot, meaning we have a lot of flipped classrooms currently. So we are in charge of looking at the material before we go to class to ask any questions to our professors. A lot of people don't like that, myself included. I like having a professor teaching me, but sometimes it's not always as easy to get people on the island to teach. So that's kind of a little bit of a downside with this school. It is very isolated. It's not always easy to have professors to visit us on the island because we are so far away from the rest of the world. At the end of the day, this is a veterinary school that is accredited, and there's not many that are accredited yet, so this is still a great option for a veterinary student to come to get their degree. There are honestly a lot of pros to this school. You get to experience a whole nother culture, you get to experience a beautiful country, you get to study at the beach if you want to, and there are plenty of different organizations that you can become a part of. You can attend additional lectures if you want to, and you also can do research here if you want. There's always a lot of things going on with the sea turtles and tick-borne disease research, and there's tons of research projects going on if that's something you would like to do. So another pro of the school is that we get to do our clinical year somewhere else. So we have 2 schools that we can network with later in the future. This island is very slow-paced, so definitely expect slower service sometimes. And also, you will not always be able to find what you are looking for. Things are imported to the island, so sometimes it takes a while to get certain things. The same thing can be said for the materials on campus. Sometimes they do not get the materials on time, so then you have to switch up what you are being taught in the class. And then I also do want to mention, for anyone that are wheelchair bound, you probably should not really look at this school because there's not many elevators on this campus. There's not really any sidewalks around the island. This campus is extremely hilly, so there's a lot of walking up and down hills, often to get to and from classes. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. I hope you have found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more. I am officially moving on to term 4 of vet school at SGU, so I'm super excited to start surgery training and sharing that journey with you all, and I hope you guys all have a great day.